It was on November 20, 1982, when the UC Berkeley football team won an improbable last-second victory over Stanford when they completed 5 lateral passes that became known as the play. It was after catching the last lateral pass in the series that Berkeley's Kevin Moen made it into the end zone, where he careened into Stanford's marching band trombone player Gary Terrell. You see, the Stanford marching band had wandered onto the field early to celebrate an upset that they sure that their team had won. Late in the game's fourth quarter, when Berkeley was leading 19-17, Stanford quarterback John Elway managed to nudge his team down the field into field goal range with just 8 seconds to play. It was then that Mark Harmon, not the actor, he played for UCLA. Mark Harmon kicked a 35-yard field goal, and Stanford took the lead 20-19. The lead then caused the entire Stanford bench to flood and celebrate on the field. But the refs quickly ushered them back to the bench and slapped them with a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. As a result, Mark Harmon had to kick off from the 25-yard with just 4 seconds left to play. Mark squibbed the kick, and Berkeley's Moen scrambled to retrieve it on the 46-yard line. Moen recounts that he considered trying to run the touchdown, but then one of Coach Knapp's training games came to his mind. It had no rules, just one bunch of guys trying to keep the ball away from another bunch of guys. So that's what he started to do. He pitched the ball behind him to his teammate, Richard Rogers, who then tossed it to the freshman, Dwight Garner, who returned it to Rogers just as 2 Stanford defenders barreled into him. Then Rogers lobbed the ball to Marriott Ford, who returned it to Moen by just flinging it backwards over his shoulder. He was just about to get nailed by one of Stanford's defenders. Well, Moen caught the backward toss and bolted for the end zone with 25 yards to go. Now, meanwhile, Stanford's band, confident that their team had won the game, had already gathered at the end zone at the end of the field, apparently without noticing that there were 22 football players that were just hurtling towards them. They began to play all right now. Before the band really knew what was happening, Moen crushed triumphantly into the end zone and into trombonist Gary Terrell. The touchdown counted, and Berkeley won the game 20-25. The play, as it became known, remains one of the most famous in college football history. Now, just a side note, John Elway, the great college football player and first-round NFL draft pick, John Elway, with a truly impressive professional football career, thanks in part to the loss his team suffered that day at the hands of a marching band, he never did play in a college bowl game. So what could this possibly have to do with this week's message by Pastor Shelton? It's entitled, "What's Your Game Plan as Time Runs Out?" Life's game doesn't always end the way it might be planned. That's become more and more clear to me each day as I see what's happening around me. What I have expected and planned on being the way final events would play out are pretty much out the window now. And recently, I've had to spend some serious time in prayer and in study to understand and be ready for what's coming next. Just like the end of the Berkeley-Stanford game, things are moving fast. And if I'm not careful, I won't be able to see what's really happening. Please plan on joining us in our sanctuary this week for Pastor Shelton's message entitled, "What's Your Game Plan as Time Runs Out?" But if you can't do that, please plan on visiting with us either on Facebook or YouTube. And until then, have a blessed week.